How's it going, all you beautiful people? It's your boy Wardy, and as you can see, we're back at it talking about the Amazons, and I'm really excited to get into today's video because this is not only a player that the Mets have shown recent interest in and have recently checked out, scouted, and a tryout, but this is also someone that I've had on my personal radar for months on end since I first witnessed him pitch for World Baseball Classics Cuba, that being their ace, and Yariel Rodriguez. I know you're probably wondering, who is Yariel Rodriguez? That is what we're about to deep dive. Why is he such a hot commodity for many teams this offseason as they're trying to land the 26-year-old coveted right-hander? What is he going to bring to the MLB level? What is his potential contract looking like when he's going to sign a deal with whoever it may be? And why would he be such a nice fit for the Mets? And so much more is what we're about to get into. As many of you know, I've been very open and public about my previous struggles with anxiety and panic attacks over the past calendar year, and since then I've been trying to find a true remedy to help subside these issues. I truly feel like I found them thanks to various forms of therapy, which is why I'm beyond excited to get into today's channel sponsor, that being in BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and this is an important mission because finding a therapist is no easy task, especially when you're so limited with few options in your area, for example. And BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist way easier because one, it's online, two, it's remote, and by filling out just a few questions, BetterHelp can match you with a therapist in as few as just a couple days. And it's easy to sign up and get started right away. So all you gotta do is click the link in the description and go to betterhelp.com/Wardy. Clicking that link not only helps support me and the channel, but also gives you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can get connected with your therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is very much like dating, you might not love the match right away. So if that is not your therapist, if that is not your person, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional cost. So again, if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Wardy, and shout out again to BetterHelp for supporting this channel. Alrighty, guys and gals, I want to know your initial reactions in the comments down below to this news that the Mets are scouting yet another pitcher, one that is from the MPB, however, has not pitched in a professional league really over the past calendar year. And in case you're wondering why that is, before we get into more on this video, it's simply because Yariel Rodriguez, after pitching for Team Cuban, the WBC, made a decision to stay in the Dominican Republic, to not go back to the MPB, and just train and prepare himself to make his MLB debut in 2024 with the confidence of signing with a team on a multi-year deal this offseason. All the stars are aligning for him to do exactly that, regardless on if it's with the Mets or not, because the guy didn't just ball out in his recent tryout that I'm going to get into in a second, but he has looked sharp for a number of years now, either as a starter or as a reliever, which makes him such an interesting case as to what he's going to project as at the MLB level and what type of team who signs him is going to utilize him and to what degree. But these reports initially stem, as you see, from Francis Romero, who does a fantastic job, Hispanic reporter, and then Michael Mayer to the left of Mets Rise does a great job as well, just reiterating the message that yes, Yariel Rodriguez has officially been released by his team in the MPB, so he is free to go elect free agency at the MLB level and sign with a team this offseason. Looked really, really sharp, as we mentioned, the WBC in that small sample size, and over the past couple years has looked sharp that we're about to get into as a reliever, even though he was utilized as a starter in the WBC, has been utilized as a starter in the past, and wouldn't be shocked if he will continue to be that going forward. But in his tryout that we saw over the past couple days here in October, really, really impressive to say the least, albeit, yes, not a huge sample size in pitches. Out of the 15, 16, 17 teams that were there, including the Mets, they got to see a fastball, 9 pitches, averaging around 96 miles per hour, but a spin rate of around 2,600. The slider around 85 miles per hour, but what stands out is roughly 3,000 RPM on that slider. Really, really impressive stuff, just like what he did in the WBC for Team Cuba. The curveball, 4 pitches around 77 miles per hour, which means 2,700 RPMs. A really, really sharp. Plenty of movement is the point here with the RPMs. The higher spin rate, the more movement, and that's always important, especially when you have a slider, a curveball, these type of breaking or off-speed pitches. Then you have the splitty, 2 pitches right here, 89 miles per hour, 1,700 RPMs, and the changeup at 1 pitch, 86 miles per hour and 1,700 RPM. So I'm excited about this guy, especially because not only witnessing him firsthand, but knowing that he's hitting the bigs now. And just to get things out of the way, the projection right now, based on what scouts are saying, is that he's going to be getting around a 5-year, $50 to $70 million deal this offseason with a club. Now, of course, this is just a projection. We don't know how accurate this is going to be, but at the young age of 26 and with so much plus stuff to give at the MLB level, who knows exactly what type of contract we're looking at, but we know it's going to be a multi-year deal. We know it's very much in the price range of what the Mets are looking for. And as a Mets team, to add insult to injury in a good way, rather, if you're a fan of an opposing team, it's insult to injury for you, but not for the Mets as a positive thing here, as a team that is going into 2024, not necessarily just a full transition year, but they have a lot to work to be done to get themselves better. They want to be good as soon as 2024 is going to start, but they also want to add guys that are going to help them for their long-term growth. David Stearns has a lot of work to do, and with someone at the young age of 26, this is someone that could easily be a factor into your rotation and or bullpen for the years to come and be very effective in doing so. So that in itself is the appeal right there. But now let's get into the stat line. Okay, what has he done in the MPB? One of the most important leagues in all of baseball that we see across the globe. If it's not MLB, I think MPB right away. They're over in Japan, the Pan Pro Baseball League. We've seen the best player on the planet come from there, and Shohei Ohtani, Kodai Senga. Last year that we saw that, another guy in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The Mets would love to sign and have a great chance of doing this offseason, land that ace himself from Japan, among many other targets. But Yariel Rodriguez, as you see from his stat line, as a reliever for 3 years in the MPB, looked really, really sharp. And his last season in 2022 had himself a 1.15 ERA in 54 innings pitched, 60 strikeouts, and didn't allow one measly home run. In 2020 and 2021, solid numbers overall. So we're looking at a 3 ERA throughout his entire tenure in the MPB, 175 innings pitched. But again, what makes Yariel Rodriguez so interesting here is not only the fact that he would be on a contract that, while it be multi-year, would be affordable for sure, especially for a Mets team that doesn't have issue for spending, especially a guy that is still multiple years away from like the age of 30, for example. But this is also someone that's coming in that has that flexibility, that versatility. And for a team like the Mets here that are really trying to round out their rotation, their bullpen, and what they want to configure, he brings an interesting element not only to the Mets, but for any team that has the luxury of potentially landing him this offseason. So when I look at Yariel Rodriguez and how his offseason and how his market is going to shape up here, and why is he not only appealing for the Mets, but why the Mets may have an upper hand, it does go a little bit in hand with their recent work that they have had with signing guys in the MPB over the past couple of years. Yes, not having Billy Epler now may change things slightly, but David Stearns is one of the smartest men out there in the front office, and many people have believed that leading up to his inevitable hire by the Mets as their new president of baseball operations. And he builds teams pitching heavy first, if you haven't seen enough in recent years, and with how great the Brewers have been when healthy with their rotation. And of course, they have big bats, big boppers in that line from time to time too. So not to get on a tangent here, but going back to Yariel, this is someone that, should the Mets be able to land him on a multi-year deal, let's say 5 years, 50 to 70 million, this is someone that can come in and be a starter for them right away. And while we don't know exactly for certain how he's going to shape up at the MLB level, just like Kodai Senga, just like Shohei Ohtani, everything's a question mark until these guys are officially here. Even though he's not Japanese, that's the professional league that he played in. Prior to that, he was playing in Cuba, and back in 2018, for example, as a starter, he did pitch well over 100 innings. So this is not someone that's unfamiliar to a heavier workload, just not someone that has had it in recent years to the magnitude as a normal starting pitcher, but has been utilized as a starter like he was for the WBC example, and has been stretched out this season, ramping up, spending this time in the DR to really get him right to propel himself for his inevitable MLB career starting next season. So I really want to know if you're in favor of Yariel, if you're against him. I want to know how you're feeling in the comments down below, because for me, this is someone where I look at the plus stuff. I look at the Mets' need to add not only to the rotation, but just the pitching front as a whole. If this is a Trevor Williams type, sign me up. The Mets can definitely use someone like that. If this is someone that could actually be effective and really, hopefully, potentially dominant in your rotation, either as a middle starter or back end, even if he's only, say, going 5-6 innings, if he's maybe not great with the length right away because he needs to get stretched out a bit, like Kodai Senga, for example, Kodai not going to normal rest for a while, that's another thing to keep in mind. So there are plenty of question marks with Yariel Rodriguez, but there's a reason why he's deemed as one of the hottest commodities among all players that are being essentially posted either from the MPB or are a international free agent electing free agency this offseason. A unique circumstance with someone like him playing in DR this year, not really being in a professional league, right? It's been 6 months since the last time that he was in anything professional, which was the WBC. But to see him have such an impressive tryout he did means that he's been active this entire time, ramping up and getting ready. And I surely would love to see him in a Mets uniform, not only because of the fact that, yeah, I like his stuff, I like his build, and I think he could certainly be effective and promising for this team, but more than anything, it's the age that really is appealing to me too. 26 will be turning right around 27 as the season is about to begin. So you're looking at a guy that is already 3 years younger than, say, Kodai Senga, for example. We're looking at a guy that's just going to be 1 year older or two than Yoshinobu Yamamoto, say, if the Mets have the luxury of landing him as well. And you're getting these younger guys that can come in on multi-year deals and be really effective. So that's the goal. That is the hope at the end of the day. Again, if the Mets do not land him, it's not the end of the world by any stretch, but there's a reason why they're going out of their way to not only show interest, but scout him. And the Mets' recent years, especially scouting and checking out MPB results. Of course, Mets did a great job on scouting guys in the WBC, hence Billy Yapler, which again brings a lot more question marks with this, but David Stearns has done his due diligence plenty, and he will continue to do so. And this is certainly a name that we will be having on our radar this offseason, as Yariel Rodriguez is just one of what's going to feel like truly a billion players I'm sure the Mets will be targeted and connected to. So Mets fans, whoever you're a fan of, I want to know if you're in favor or against a potential Yariel Rodriguez signing. What do you think he could bring to the Mets in the rotation and or bullpen, or do you think he's going to land somewhere else? If so, where would that be? Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Stay tuned for consistent Mets content all year long, all off season long. We have so much coming, so many top 5 videos as well that I know that you guys love every single year. New live streams, new podcasts, just a lot is unraveling as we're getting closer and closer to the offseason officially beginning, and I'm just giddy thinking about it. I'm excited. I can't wait, and I cannot wait to interact with you all through it. So thank you again, guys, and as always, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.